"We need to throttle the tech bleed," Xylos said, his voice flat, filtered through a processor that stripped away any hint of organic tremor. The intel officer's face was a high-resolution mask of deep-etched stress lines and subdermal data ports. "Keep the drip feed minimal until the final asset liquidation." They climbed from primitive dirt sloggers to a localized orbital grid in 5 centuries. That's not just growth, that's a viral innovation spike. "It's twitchy." Overlord Varkas lounged in a command chair that looked more like a throne of obsidian and active circuitry. He flicked an ear tuft with the bored precision of a predator who's already calculated the kill ratio. "The less hardware they get to scavenge, the less we pay in blood equity later." "What else is on the tactical HUD?" "Not much, boss," Xylos replied, his eyes cycling through infrared overlays. "They're still burning chemical propellants to get into the black. Pure Neanderthal tech. No null-vect signatures, which means 0 FTL capability. You can't run that kind of R&D on a gravity well surface without triggering a localized collapse, and since they haven't cracked the physics, they are effectively pinned to the map. If this were a breakaway cell or a penal colony, we'd see orbital defenses, either pointed out or pointed in. The sky is clean. This is the source code. This is the home world. Any drift in the habitability specs since the initial scan." Varkas stared at the projected holomap. Kalo 9 was a prime piece of real estate, situated right in the Goldilocks zone of the sector. Most of the tectonic plates were sitting in subtropical sweat, with just enough Arctic fringe to keep the climate from stalling out. It was a universal spec world. 90% of the known bioforms could survive here with nothing but standard-issue skin-tight suits. Only the extreme freaks would need heavy rigs. It had stayed off the ledger because of the transit logistics, but the Zenith of Aethelgard had been pushing the frontier for centuries. Now, the planet was within reach of the corporate claw. "Minimal drift," Xylos muttered, tapping a data pad. They hit their industrial surge with low pop counts and moved to green tech faster than the curve predicts. Another tick on the high IQ box. They're efficient at cleaning up their own filth. "How do they stack up physically?" Varkas asked. He wasn't interested in their minds, he wanted to know about the meat. "Brains are fine, but muscle memory and bone density dictate the ground game." Xylos ghosted a command to the display. Low-res bioscans flickered into life. Mammalian bipeds. Sparse hair coverage, mostly concentrated on the cranium. Sexual dimorphism is low-key, subtle enough to make co-ed combat units a logistics toss-up. Their physical stats are all over the place, suggesting a use-it-or-lose-it biofeedback loop. High resting metabolic rate. If we drop in mid-cycle, we need to hit them hard and fast before their nervous systems redline. "The Emerald interjected," Varkas corrected, his voice a gravelly bass. "Right. Live births, 1-year gestation, 20-year bake time to full combat readiness. There's an inverse link between credit score and birth rate. They can't seem to throttle their own breeding instinct without economic pressure. Lifespan is a moving target, heavily influenced by gene modding and environment. Biggest kill factor right now? Recklessness in the young males. They treat mortality like a suggestion. That's going to make the urban sweeps interesting. Tell the trainers to dial up the sadism," Varkas said, his fingers drumming a sharp, metallic rhythm on his armrest. "I want the ground scenarios to be a waking nightmare." "With a spec that's both smart and suicidal," High Commander Draxus added, his reptilian snout splitting into a jagged, toothy grin that smelled of old blood and ozone, "we should let the real sociopaths design the air combat sims. Turn the sky into a slaughterhouse." "Looking for an excuse to unbox your pet projects, Draxus?" Varkas asked. He looked back at Xylos. "What about the mad threshold? FTL research is a loud acoustic signature in the subspace bands. We'd see the ripples before they could weaponize the tech." "Weaponizing the vacuum is harder than surviving it," Xylos said. "They've got fission reactors, dirty, old-world energy. No evidence of nuclear testing, though. No fallout scars. I still want a strike team on those plants and the fuel processing hubs the second we're boots down." Varkas nodded. "We stay dark until we're in the pocket. One synchronized strike to wipe their orbital eyes. Once they realize we own the high ground, we see if they have the stomach for a siege." If they don't fold, it's Draxus's show. What's the name on the ID tag? If we're taking the house, we might as well know what they called it. They call themselves humans, Xylo said, the word tasting like lead in his mouth. The planet is Terra. Same name across 12 linguistic branches. Likely a legacy of some dead spec code they haven't purged yet. The opening move was a masterclass in kinetic efficiency. The satellites around Terra were deleted in a microsecond burst of synchronized fire. Clean. Professional. No waste. As the human comms grid went into a hard crash, the populace didn't panic, they moved. A mass migration into deep-crust hardened shelters. I'm picking up a massive energy spike, the comms officer reported. It's either a heavy-duty comms laser or a weapon test disguised as a handshake. They're playing it both ways. If we retaliate, we're validating their ego, Draxus grumbled. They'll think they can actually hurt us. Go for the soft cell, Xylo suggested. Tell them to check their calibration. Tell them the signal is blowing out our receivers. Treat it like a technical glitch, not a threat. Deny them the satisfaction of fear. Varkas let the silence hang, cold and heavy. Execute. The signal cleared, revealing a human in high-tier civilian plating, High Chancellor Sterling of the Sovereign Accord. He looked like he was carved out of cold, hard cynicism. You're asking for a surrender instead of a kinetic bombardment, which means you want the infrastructure intact. That means you have to come down here and crawl through the dirt to get it. We could have traded tech for territory, but I don't hold the keys to every gate. You'll have to bleed every faction dry if you want the whole rock. And since you started this with a sucker punch to our orbital assets, half these bastards are going to fight you out of spite. If you want this world, come and take it. If we don't glass your civilians, do you promise not to salt the Terra? Varkas asked, leaning into the comms array. Salt the? Sterling's face twisted as he ran the metaphor through his internal translator. You mean the Earth? Isn't that what I said? Varkas asked. I get that the semantics might shift, but the core is the same. Every dirt-bound species names their rock after the soil under their boots. It takes a certain level of orbital perspective to realize you're living on a sphere. Sterling's eyes flared, then went dead. The look of a man who just realized he was playing a game with a much larger deck than he thought. We won't go for war crimes if you don't, Sterling said, his voice dropping an octave. We've got different rules depending on the flag, but as long as you keep the bioagents and the gas in the locker, we'll keep it to conventional killing. Professional standards. And what's the policy on consuming the combatants? Draxus asked, his jaw unhinging slightly to show off the meat shredders. Only if you're starving, Sterling shot back. We've got some weird-ass cults that think eating a heart gives you a stat boost, but mostly we treat it as a breach of protocol. Cannibalism for survival? Fine. For fun? We'll hunt you down. Draxus hissed a laugh. Standard rules of engagement. We'll stick to DNA harvesting for the casualty lists. The eggheads will love you, Sterling muttered. Anything else, or are we done talking and ready for the killing? The pods are already in the air, Draxus said. Easy with the hardware, Elias Thorne said, his eyes tracking the surgical blades with a desperate, jittery focus. I'm a civilian. I've got no reason to be a hero. My price is low. Civilian? The interrogator, a multi-limbed chitinous freak, clicked its mandibles. You dropped 40 of my boys and crippled another dozen. That's a hell of a hobby. Trespassers get shot. It's on the signs, Elias said, his voice cracking. Not my fault your guys can't read English. It's your biology that's the problem, the freak replied. We pulled you out of a rock slide. We could fix your guts, but your bone chemistry is incompatible with our synth binders. You're going to have to heal the old-fashioned way. Broken ribs are a bitch, right? Nice setup, Elias said, grimacing as the meds hit his system. Dope me up so I stop caring about my secrets, then act like you're doing me a favor. Real professional. Compassion is just another vector for data acquisition, the freak clicked. Name for the record? Elias Thorne. Don't bother with the spelling. Just listen. The interrogator tapped into his Neuralink. Amusing. I can buy the motive, but the kill count? You're a statistical outlier. Elias breathed through the haze of the painkillers. Why? We hunt for sport. We play tactical sims for fun. We hike into the middle of nowhere to see if we can survive the weekend. And VR? VR gives us the representatives. We've been training for this since we could hold a controller. But who's running the net? Where's the command and control? There isn't any, Elias said, a jagged smile touching his face. We're decentralized. We grew up on the same media, the same games, the same myths. We don't need a general to tell us what to do. We know the plays. We just have to keep your head down until the real military shows up. You should have put a flag on it, the freak spat. Habitable rocks are too valuable to leave to the amateurs. There are xenophobes out there who would have glassed you for the crime of breathing. If you can't hold it, you don't own it. You could have asked, Elias countered. The null-vect tech would have been a hell of a bargaining chip. Too late now. You don't have FTL, do you? How'd you get here? Elias's eyes went wide. Oh, you guys never figured out the containment. You did your R&D in the void because your tech is too messy. We focused on the microscale. We caged the discharge. We built a portal network for the commute. And those portals? They're heavy-duty energy Moors. Don't push us. And Terra? Terra isn't on this grid. You can't track it back. Where is it? The freak hissed. Elias tried to move and regretted it instantly. Another cluster. Other side of the abyss heart. We're across a dozen galaxies. One of our outposts isn't even in this reality. We're everywhere. And Terra? See that red wreck in my garage? Elias whispered. That's a Ferrari. The translator hummed. A primitive ground car. For racing. The planet is named for the machine. No, Elias said, his eyes rolling back. The soil was named for the car. The car was named for a man. I don't know where his name came from. Probably some ancient bloodline. The interrogator went silent. The jitter in his chitinous frame was pure, unadulterated shock. But everyone names their planet after dirt. Varkas yelled, his ear tufts twitching as he watched the playback. Not from here, Draxus said, his voice a low growl. Their portals are a physics cheat. The bunkers aren't shelters, they're exits. They didn't hide, they left. They evacuated the brains first, Xylo said, looking sick. Elias is just a grunt. He knows the what, not the how. We missed our window. Maybe that's for the best, Draxus said. If those portals can be weaponized, they've got a solar-scale mad switch. If we'd fired on those shuttles, we'd be atoms by now. They're stripping our null-vect right now, Varkas said, staring at the floor. While we play diplomat with a guy who has zero authority. We're getting played. The grid is decentralized, Xylos agreed. I want a bunker cracked. Now. On it, Draxus said. The bunkers didn't crack. They detonated. A swarm of heavy metal projectiles tore out of the earth, powered by a dirty mix of rocket fuel and scavenged null-vect. Inbound missiles have shielding. A tech screamed. Draxus's eyes went wide. Boarding parties. Repel them. Use the armor-piercing rounds, we need to shred the meat inside. The hull breaches are going to be a total cluster, Varkas whispered. Better than a boarding party that survived a 20G burn, Draxus snarled. Varkas punched in the codes. Iron Sky Protocol to standby. If they take the ship, we take them with us. You really think it's that bad? A captain asked. Aggression plus innovation? Varkas said. That's a terminal diagnosis. We can't let them have our home coordinates. The missiles hit like the hand of God. The fast ships burned for the perimeter to relay the data. The heavy hulls were too slow to escape the kinetic impact. The boarding had begun. The humans blew the hatches and stepped in. A synthesized voice echoed, Biohost integration active. One breach and the whole fleet goes dark. They're twitchy, a human said, his voice tinny through his suit comms. They went straight for the suicide switch. Getting a laser ping, another said. They're trying to sniff our encryption. Varkas opened the channel. Ceasefire. We pull back to the rim. We stay in our corners. You accept? You leave our ground bases alone? Done. The standoff was a slow-motion car crash. Both sides watching the other with a finger on the trigger. The self-destruct was the only thing keeping the peace. The base became an embassy, a patch of neutral dirt in a hostile world. Sterling and Varkas sat in a room that smelled of recycled air and old tension. Authority? Sterling asked. Zero, Varkas said. I'm a ghost. The council has to sign off. I'm just here to tell you how to play the game. Funny, Sterling said. You can start the fire, but you can't put it out. The solar rift, Varkas explained. The decennial duel. Legal murder to settle political beefs. Dueling? Seriously? Keeps the bloodline clean. High stakes keep the cowards out. A notification popped. An oracle? Sterling asked. Varkas went rigid. A courier and a judge. She speaks for the conclave. They're trained to be lawbearers. No personality, no bias. Just the word. She's here, Sterling said. I'm offering you asylum, Varkas said. Exile sucks, but it beats a firing squad. I'm impressed you'd even consider it after I tried to steal your planet. Sterling shrugged. You fought fair. The tech trade-off was worth the headache. And our boys liked that you had to pull the nuclear option to stop them. Good for morale. The penultimate option, Varkas corrected. And the swarm mind? What's the deal? Varkas looked like he'd swallowed glass. A role-playing game that got out of hand. Armods that became a cult, then a virus. They use nanites to hijack your neural link. It's not just a hack, it's an overwrite. And everyone connected is a goner? Instantly. They have an AI that can talk you into suicide or servitude in minutes. You either take the Oracle's oath or stay in a lead-lined room for life. That's a hell of a firewall, Sterling said. Good thing our portals don't hold a data stream. You've got medical tech, Varkas warned. We tried to fix your guys, but it's a coin toss. Your biosignatures are too chaotic. Nanovaccine? For iron? Varkas laughed. You'd be allergic to the universe. Bad trade. Sterling left to talk to the portal techs. Varkas waited, the air in the room getting thinner by the second. The oracle arrived. Sylphira. Long, lean, and looking like she was made of polished chrome and bad news. Overlord Varkas, she said. Overlord? He breathed. For recognizing a lost cause before it became a tomb. For putting the Zenith above your ego. You've got a seat on the council. Varkas felt his heart rate spike. I just didn't want to be the guy who started a war with a species that eats dragons for breakfast. You played the hand you were dealt. You looked at the inconceivable and didn't blink. That's why you're getting the promotion. Most guys would have burned the system down out of spite. Varkas nodded. The weight of the title was heavy. Honor is a bitch, he whispered. Sterling came back, staring at Sylphira. You look like something out of a bad dream, he said. The kind of legend that ends with everyone dead. Coincidence, Sylphira said, her voice like silk. Or maybe we dropped our trash on your rock 1,000,000 years ago. Either way, I don't blame the paranoia. The theorists are going to have a field day, Sterling sighed. The council wants to play ball, Sylphira said. But who am I talking to? A planet? A system? A ghost? The Sovereign Accord, Sterling said. We're the referees. No muscle, just the rulebook. The Terran hegemony is the heavy hitter, the United Trade Conglomerate is the guy trying to sell you a bridge. Alexander's play? Sylphira asked. Gordus's not, Sterling said. Sometimes you just have to cut the cord. Keep it simple, Varkas agreed. And you? Sterling asked. Is there always an exit? Always, Varkas said. Out in the mud, Draxus and Elias were locked in an arm wrestling match. Meat against scales. We thought we were going to fight dragons, Elias said, grinning through the sweat. But we just got you. Dragons? Draxus growled. Flying lizards that breathe fire, Elias said. Legends say we used to kill them with sharpened sticks. We've been the apex predators for a long time, Draxus. You're just the first ones to notice. Innovative and reckless, Draxus whispered. You crazy bastards.